What's up, people? Welcome to our live stream. Today, we're going to be announcing the submissions or sharing the submissions for the July Art Dare, and we're also going to be announcing the September Art Dare. And if you would like to learn how to turn your artistic weakness into your strength, check out artprof.org, where we have lots of free resources, tutorials, critiques, art dares, pro development, and all that cool stuff. So, Clara, why don't you take it away?
Yes, the July Art Dare was to select an old artwork and to recreate it. So the first artist we're going to look at is Leah Rose Jackson, who explains that she was around 16 in art class in high school when she created this first painting we're looking at. And Leah explains it was one of the first paintings I made that I remember being really proud of. I remember at that time grappling with a lot of loss, my security, parental figures, and innocence, and says it's nice to recreate this work where I definitely feel some of the same things, but with a much more rounded out sense of self. So, this is the high school painting. This is the new painting, which was done several years later. What do you think about the change, Jordan?
This is really great. I love it. I first off, I think the composition was already pretty strong to begin with this one, but I think you strengthened it here by removing the figure from the edges of the canvas. I love how you added the lighting, especially on the face and the arms and chest. The colors that you're using in the background, it just really makes this piece come alive and pop off the page. So, yeah, this is fantastic. I think you definitely leveled up in the last 15 years.
The anatomy nerd in me. Leah is very excited about all of the articulation. For example, in the earlier version, you can see the collarbones are not visible at all. And also, there are these arm muscles in the new piece that were also not very visible. And so, one thing that I really noticed is how dimensional and volumetric all of the forms in the figure are. I feel like in the earlier one, it really is quite flat. Now, Jordan, look at the clothing. What do you think
Mhm.
about that change?
Yeah, the clothing is really fascinating. I like how the top mirrors what's going on in the background with this sort of wavy, wiggly pattern. And I also think it fits well with even the way you paint the snake. I noticed that was a significant change too in the two pieces. So I think everything's sort of coming together very appropriately.
Leah is here live with us in the chat saying thank you so much. And Manette says, I thought the first one was great, but wow, it looks amazing. Sentient says, look at the lighting. Ginger Cell says, jawline. DK says, that is such a powerful change. So great to see growth because I think oftentimes a lot of us, we don't think we're improving very much. But then you go back and you do an exercise like this, and it really does show, wow, we have improved quite a bit over time. Okay, let's take a look at Johanna's piece. And Johanna says Hansi is part of a toy series started in 2016, interrupted by life stuff, picked it up again this year. The challenge was a good fit and motivated me to get something done. Okay, so this is the earlier piece, and then this is the new piece. Now, this piece is so different than Leah's, which had sort of a similar composition. But if we go back and look at this one, the composition is totally different. What do you think, Jordan, about that change, the addition of the purse?
hmm Well, I think it's more than the addition of the purse. It's putting this character into an environment. Like we see a little plant on the side and something that looks kind of like a some sort of board maybe on the right, and then the purse, which has a ton of detail, looks great. So I think those changes and putting this character in a place that we can kind of start to recognize really helps it a lot because in the before version, it's just this vague, void colorful abyss that we don't really understand. So I think it's really helpful here.
Also, I'm noticing that it's a different material. It seems like the first one is done in watercolor, the second one is pastels. And I just feel like the colors are much richer, they're more vibrant. and also the addition of texture, because Jordan, in the first image, it's very, very washy and
Mhm.
smooth, but I love the texture, especially in the background. The green
Yeah.
gradients and the texture are beautiful.
Yeah. Part of me feels that the in the before image, some of the watery washing marks was not something that was completely intentional, whereas in the newer version, it looks like there was some serious time thought of or spent taking all that into account. Even behind the head, you can see that some of the marks are a little bit more firm, a little bit more heavy-handed, which I really really like. I think that's coming in great.
The other thing that I think is really great is there's a story. I feel like in the first piece we have the bunny, but we don't really see the bunny actually interacting with anything. And I guess in the second one, I just think, what are you doing in there? Are you trying to make off with some cash, or is this just a cozy place to hang out? I just feel like the new image, it piques my curiosity. It gets me thinking about what's actually happening in the scene. Yeah,
Mhm.
like Karen says, there's a lot more depth in the second one. Sonnet says, I like how they included a background in the second one. And DK says the purse strap has such amazing texture. It really seems to me to anchor the bunny in the environment. All right. The next artist we're going to look at is Ike, who explains, I decided to do another drawing of Johanna Lumley after a few draw along and tutorial videos on the Art Prof channel. First drawing, this one we're looking at here, was done in 2004 using a blue ballpoint pen. The second one was completed using a black colored pencil. So this is the before piece, and this is the after piece. So different photographs, same person. But what do you think, Jordan? What are you noticing about the differences?
Oh, this is a great before and after. So with this one, I think some of the before image, there's a lot of lines that I wouldn't necessarily call confident. Some of the line thicknesses aren't really resonating with me, and I don't think the likeness is captured as well as in the image that's after, where the perspective has changed. We're looking slightly below. There's a little bit more attitude and character and emotion in this, and significant change here. I think that's amazing.
Again, the anatomy nerd in me is very proud of your cheekbones. Also, the neck is one of my favorite parts of the new piece, because in the earlier piece, I don't know what the reference photo looks like, but that neck, it almost looks like it's divided up into several shapes. But in the new piece, you can feel the skin actually sagging downwards, and that's very different than, say, the cheekbones, which the flesh is a little bit more taut, it's a little bit softer. And so you're really showing variation in the skin. That's great. Now, Jordan, the first image, you barely even see the clothing, but what about the second one?
Yeah, the second one has so much character, and I think my favorite part is this necklace that you've added with the sort of chain lock and this the round part that is going through. Like that adds so much character to this drawing because it is highly detailed, it's very specific, and we don't have to guess as to what it is. We just understand by looking at it. So I think that detail, as well as the detail in the earrings and the collar of it looks like a leather jacket, are really really doing justice here.
Also, in terms of contrast, the first image, the only part that really gets dark is the outline of the eyes. But in the right one, I think it's absolutely wonderful the way you've really increased the darkness of the piece. But it's still a fairly light drawing. It's not like you made everything too dark. But
Mhm.
I can see you're just so much more confident about laying down those dark values, which I think is really wonderful. Jesse says the shadows are great. And Ginger says you can definitely feel more of the person's personality in the second one. Crosby says loving the expression in the new one. And Seven Angelic says amazed at how much depth they added. Nice. Great work, Ike. Okay. Next artist we're going to look at is Javon. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Anyway, they say in 2020, a friend suggested I create a Patreon to support my efforts to create joyful children's books featuring Black and Brown children. I created these icons for each of my Patreon tiers, have updated them each year to reflect my growth as an artist. I wanted them to display a diversity in personality, skin tone, and hairstyles that can be found among Black women. Now, there's a lot of pieces here. It's really extraordinary to see so many pieces that have been redone. And oh my gosh, you can hardly recognize that it's the same artist on this slide, Jordan.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's incredible. I think all the changes that were made to this have definitely made it for the better. I love the texture and the afro. Even just the smile of this girl just seems much more pleasant and friendly, just by the way you've drawn the mouth and the eyes and everything. Yeah, this is looking really, really great.
Look at the difference between that green collar. Oh my gosh, the first one is just a flat colored in shape. The one on the right, you can actually feel the softness of the fabric. You can see the lighting. And I feel like in general, a lot of these, they just feel richer. They feel a lot warmer than the earlier pieces. Like, look at the difference here. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with the hair.
Yeah, the hair is definitely something that I can tell you worked on in these months or years between doing the first and the second piece, and it's paying off. I can really see it.
Also, I'm very proud of the backgrounds because I'm always pressuring people in our community to do backgrounds, but it's true. I mean, in the first image, I actually really love the silhouette of the hair. I think that is so bold. But Jordan, what happens when you add that yellow in the background?
I always thought it just adds extra little bit of character. We never really see characters on a white background with just nothing there. That we don't see that in life. But when you add a little vignette of a yellow or orange or purple here and there, it just brings everything together so much more succinctly. And I think that even with just the couple of seconds it took to do that, it really, really does add to your piece.
Javon is here with us live in the chat and says, "Hi, y'all. Such an honor to be featured today and hear your feedback." Well, I'm very excited that you can watch live. And we've got some great comments. W315 says, "The books look much more real." Yeah, that perspective is so good. And Manette says, "Love all the added details in the new ones. It gives the pieces so much character." And Ginger loves the worm that we saw earlier. And guess what, everybody? We've got a whole bunch of super chats. Keep those coming because those do add up over time and they help us so much. Thank you, RB Dick, and also Amanda Norris for your support. Okay, the next artist we're going to take a look at is Lisa, who says, "While visiting the family ranch in July, I decided to redo a sketch of a pine tree by the porch. The original sketch was drawn in July 2021 on site. For the art dare, I redrew the tree multiple times. While I appreciate aspects of the newer work, ironically, I still prefer the energy in the original 2021 piece." And, we're talking a lot about improvements, but sometimes, Jordan, you ever go back and look at your work and you're like, hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah, there's times where I look back at my work and I'm like, man, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, or vice versa. Where I was like, man, I was really puffing myself up a little too much there, wasn't I? So the art path when it comes to skill and skill level is not linear. It doesn't just go straight up. It's something that we have our ebbs and flows, and that's very natural. So for anyone out there experiencing that, don't worry about it. It's normal. It happens to everybody.
What I love about Lisa's pieces is that I believe this is the same tree. Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, but every single one of these drawings shows exploration in a different way. For example, if you go through, the one at the bottom is these tightly woven curly strokes, okay? But then as you move along, you can see the one at the bottom looks a little bit more gritty. It's a little bit darker. And actually, one of my favorite ones is the one at the bottom with the ink and the scratchy strokes. The variety is really outstanding.
Hmm. Yeah, I've always loved looking at variety, and this actually reminds me of a documentary I saw of some Disney artists back in the 50s or 60s. They took five background painters and they all painted the same tree, and they all came up with completely different results, despite the fact it was one object. So that's kind of what I'm getting from you working on all these a year plus later, and just experimenting with different mediums, different types of compositions, the different whether it's flat versus what's coming at you. There's so many things that you're doing, and I think just the experience of experimenting is worth it, even if you feel like some of them didn't work for you the way that you wanted them to.
Lisa is here live with us in the chat and says, yes, same tree, same spot I'm sitting. Clara likes the 2021 best too. Yeah, so the one at the bottom we're looking at here, that is the older sketch. And then these ones that we're seeing now are the new ones. But how cool that it's the same tree seen in so many different ways, because you might look at these and not even know that it's the same tree, because the variety of the compositions, the shift of the articulation. And that's what I'm most impressed by, Lisa, is how comprehensive you were with exploring every possible option. I mean, isn't the variety of compositions excellent?
Yeah, I think that's the what makes this so fun, is because I would say outside of the medium or the material change, that's the thing that we notice the most. And trees have such a embedded variety when it comes to what you can do with them, because there's all the branches and leaves and might be some animals in there and stuff. So yeah, I absolutely think a great thing that you went back to the same tree and just saw what you were doing differently.
We've got some super chats. Free Jolito says, I've been binging Art Prof videos for a few weeks now. So happy you found this channel. Excited to participate in this month's Art Dare. And also another super sticker from Sonnet. Keep those super chats coming because they help us. And you know what? Our budget is so tight that $25 matters to us. I know that sounds really dumb, but it's true. And every little bit, it really does add up over time. We've got some prizes to give out. The honorable mention goes to Leah Rose Jackson. Congratulations. We were so thrilled to see all of the changes and work that you've accomplished. So congratulations. And the prize winner is Javon. Again, sorry if I mispronounced your name, but we were just blown away by how much work you invested, all of the dramatic changes. Fantastic work. Everybody, congratulations. We are so proud of you. As a community, watching you grow and develop together is just the most wonderful thing in the world. Thank you, everybody. Yes, Leah and Javon, so happy to have all of you here. We have a bunch of Art Prof shares. Our community has been really busy. It's wonderful. So Art Prof share is where you make content related to work that we have put out. And this first artist we're looking at today is John Jesse Van Blomstein. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I think Jesse's live here in the chat. Oh, yeah, Jesse's here. Okay, awesome. So Jesse made this portrait. And you know what's amazing, Jordan, is it's from multiple videos. Sometimes people do it and they draw along, or it's specific towards one video, but we have a hair drawing video. And Jesse says, slightly shocked how important hair can be. Not only outlook of the person, Lauren's new hair sets off a good vibe and makes things coming alive. So this is the stream. We drew RuPaul's wigs. And then we have another piece about water mixable oils, and said, didn't know about the existence, I've always been afraid of oils. So I've always been using acrylics. So this is that stream. And then how to avoid art cliches. Although I called the artwork Rasta Lauren, I could easily have put some palm trees in the background or the Jamaican flag. The cliche video prevented me from doing that. So, Jordan, what do you think about the fact that Jesse used 3 videos and creating this portrait as a reaction to those 3 videos?
I think that's a brilliant way of learning. I think it's sort of like if you take one video and only learn from that one video and you can just rewatch it and rewatch it, you're only going to learn so much. But if you take content from this video, this video, this video, and all these other different sources, maybe some other, you learn some things that we don't even know about that you didn't talk about, and you add it together in a piece of work, it always turns out better. You have more information to go off of. And I think it's always going to benefit you in the long run. And clearly it did with this piece.
There is so much overlap to what we teach here. Sure, the draw alongs are really terrific because they're quite straightforward. We provide all the references, you're there drawing along with me. But ultimately, you're going to learn from so many places, and it's all going into one really yummy soup. It's like you're just adding all these things together. And that's what I'm seeing here, Jesse, is that you're really processing and letting things merge together. You're not just isolating a technique, because I see that a lot, Jordan, where people say, well, I need to learn anatomy before I'm allowed to draw the figure. And I'm like, no, you can start that. It doesn't have to be so, I guess, separate.
Yeah. I noticed that sometimes when you do one thing at a time like that, your skills can become sort of imbalanced, and it might take you a long time to figure out how to achieve that thing you decide to start later, when really you could have been building your skills up evenly across the board at the same time.
Jesse says, thank you. I'm so glad that you were here live with us in the chat. And Sonnet says, Art Prof videos are my art class, lol, Art Prof University. Yeah, without the $70,000 a year price tag. And we're not going to mark you down for being absent, which I love. I couldn't stand doing all that stuff when I was teaching at RISD. We have another Art Prof share, which is somebody finished the anatomy track. So we're looking at Samuel M's body of work from the anatomy track, and says, I had a crude understanding of anatomy in general, used different systems from the internet that use shapes and lines. I always felt it made my drawings look stiff. The anatomy track was the perfect starting point for learning. Different methods, time drawing practice were all challenging, but the resources and support from the Discord gave me a great source of information and encouragement. Now, here's the thing, Jordan. This is Samuel's second track that he's finished. Samuel actually finished the drawing basics track, and oh boy, worked so hard on the anatomy track. You've done tons of figure drawing, Jordan. And why is just the sheer quantity here important?
It's, it's funny, I have stacks of figure drawings right next to me too. It's important because figure drawing in particular is probably the most difficult thing to master. There's so many different types of bodies, different heights, widths, ethnicities, all that stuff, and it's always changing. And to be able to master that is something that's going to take a while. So the fact that you just got to jump on it, and you clearly improve so much between the time you started and ended the track, I'm just so excited to see where you're going to continue to go from here.
And how fun is it to see the earlier drawings, which are all done in line, and then, oh my gosh, Samuel, when you started adding the tone, these feet, I think, are just so volumetric. And then some of the more targeted anatomical study, placing the skeleton inside the figure, and then doing these tonal gesture drawings. I mean, these are just so palpable. I think the lighting is beautifully done. And Samuel did this all on his own. Obviously, he had some support in the Discord that we were mentioning in the artist statement. But Jordan, it's hard to have the focus and discipline to do this by yourself without, say, a professor breathing down your neck.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest challenges of trying to learn art by yourself is you don't really have access to that feedback the same way, which is why I'm so glad that Samuel was able to go to the Discord, and that many of you are able to do something similar and just get feedback, get second opinions, and another pair of eyes to look at it, because it's a lot to take in. There's so many artistic things to learn, and it can become overwhelming. So, so good on you for using the resources at hand.
And these are tricky prompts. This is one where you have to draw foreshortened figures, and then the final lesson is a sustained drawing of a torso. And you can see that this is such a great finale to all of the practice that Samuel invested into the track. Crosby says, skeletal study's so cool. Absolutely love the pose. That's so unique. And by the way, when you do one of these tracks, we give you all the resources that you need. We provide reference photos. We give you links to videos that will help you target some of the skills needed for the lessons. So take a look at these. These tracks are all free. You can do them on your own, hang out with us in the Discord. And you know what? When you finish a track, we post your work with your slideshow, with your Instagram post. We put it all on artprof.org, and it is so fun to see the list of people, which is always growing, who have finished a track, because finishing a track is a big deal. This is not a small effort. And so we really want to show off our community and how much work they are doing. Jordan, we got some news about a live stream, not on our channel, but on your channel tonight.
Yes, so my channel, for those who do not know, it's called the Joe McFo Show, and I will be doing my first live stream, my first drawing live stream tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific time or 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're just gonna have some fun, draw some characters, draw some heads or something. I'm still figuring out exactly what I'm gonna do, but I figure I'm gonna be sitting here at my desk working, and I'm gonna invite everyone here. So hope to see you all in the chat.
This would be so good for all of you to hang out with, especially because we're streaming once a week now. And I know some of you miss it, that we aren't streaming as much as we used to, which is several times a week. And so if you want some of that structure, that motivation to do your work, hang out with Jordan on his channel, the Joe McFo Show. And that would be a great supplement to, I know, what a lot of people really look forward to here. And if you're not subscribed to Jordan's channel, shame on you. You should subscribe, because he's got some great tips, wonderful content that we don't have on our channel. Let's talk about the September Art Dare, which is to draw a celebrity as a monster. And I do think it's helpful, even though people generally know what the word monster is, to look at the dictionary definition. Why is that, Jordan?
Dictionary, I think, clarifies everything for everyone. There's certain words that just mean something unique to everyone, but when you look it up, I think what ends up happening is it sparks your imagination. I think you're able to take some of the definitions that they give, and you can apply it in your own way and build something unique. And it's always helped me when I was in school. I used to do that all the time. That would be one of the first decisions I would make, is to look it up in a thesaurus or dictionary.
Also, sometimes words have other definitions that you may not be aware of, or they'll give you some ideas that maybe you didn't even think about. For example, this one says, any animal or thing huge in size. Sure, monsters can be big, but I didn't realize that was actually part of the definition. So maybe that's a launching point for you to say, oh, well, I'm going to make it really gigantic. That is an aspect of being a monster that you could really play with. So it looks like people are asking Jordan, what time zone? Yeah, Ginger Cell is very eager to find out when your live stream is. So let's go back.
Maybe y'all just didn't hear me. 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so yeah, so 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
I think in addition to defining monster, we just defined what a celebrity is. Just in case some of you may not know what the word celebrity means. So I think we should define that for everybody.
I think your definition is just Hugh Jackman or Benedict Cumberbatch. I think that's it. I don't think any other celebrity exists. for you.
I love this still. Oh my God, this is from a PBS masterpiece still, where he's like very upset. I don't know. I think it's super hot when they're super upset. And then, you know, you didn't include Michael Fassbender, though. I'm very disappointed, Jordan.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can only remember two of your crushes at a time.
Well, they go back and forth. Like, I haven't watched a Hugh Jackman movie for a while, but I've been really stuck on Matthew Good because he's in that really trashy show, Discovery of Witches, and I just like want to die when I see him acting like a vampire.
Oh my goodness.
So, yes, there are other celebrities out there, but I just felt that you all needed actual visuals in case you were confused. So now you know what a celebrity actually is. So we do have this draw along where Deepti and I do a demonstration of this specific prompt. You can see we were both using this photo of Steve Buscemi. I don't know how to say his name.
You said it right the second time.
Okay. And what happened here, Jordan, to transform him into a monster? Deepti did
He
this.
was just put in the oven and melted. It just looked so great. Like, look at the lips. Like, oh my goodness, just the droopiness. The face is kind of doing one of these. It's sort of like the Wicked Witch of the West in the Wizard of Oz, just like melting. I'm melting. It's great.
I was thinking somebody took out all his bones, and so he's just this like blob of skin. I don't know. There's so many different ways you can go about defining this. And I think one of the fun things is to latch on to a specific feature to emphasize. Like his neck just went Deepti's drawing. And then I did my own version. I made him really pasty. I don't really know why. He sort of looks like Bizarro Superman, but sleek. I don't know.
I like that. Like the pastiness. That's fun.
And so the other thing I did was I took his head and I just stretched it and then made his hair purple. There's a million things you can all do to experiment with this. And again, sometimes people think about monster, oh, ugly, terrible, and mean. But there's so many monsters, quote, monsters, who I think are a lot more sympathetic. Like I'm thinking about that story, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. There's all kinds of stories about monsters who are misunderstood. And so, Jordan, do you think researching different types of monsters might be a good exercise for this?
I think researching before you do any sort of project is always a good idea. I will never discourage that. And whether it's looking up definition in the dictionary, whether it's looking at other artists and figuring out what types of monsters there are, maybe you can combine a few tropes that you really like and come up with this werewolf, Frankenstein, melty face monster guy. I don't know. Like this is where you guys can use your creativity to its fullest extent and just make an awesome monster. You know, like why not?
W315 says Frankenstein, the doctor was the actual monster. Exactly. So go through and look at some of these stories and ask yourself, what really makes a monster? Because we're all laughing here about Steve Buscemi as a boneless person. But this art dare, I think it does have a lot of depth if you want it to be. And it'll be very exciting, I think, to see who people choose. For example, I believe that Ginger is going to do Taylor Swift. And I think it'll be great to see, like, for example, W315 also says Lon Chaney Sr. as a monster. And it'll be really fun for us to see in the Discord who people select and why. So I'm very excited to see what everybody does for this art dare. Ooh, great idea from Crosby. Monster that's totally contradictory to the actor's personality could be cool too. Exactly. All right. Let's talk about the Art Dare Leap. This is if you want something more substantial. I know some people really enjoy the Art Dare as motivation to really get work done. And so if you want to do the Art Dare Leap, you can do 4 celebrities. And remember, the Art Dare Leap is totally optional. It's not required. All you need to do is one artwork to officially put into the submission. Hang out in the Discord. Jordan, why is the Discord so helpful when you're doing the Art Dare?
Well, we alluded to it earlier in the stream, but when you're working on art there, one of the best things is to get feedback and inspiration from other people around you who are also doing the same thing. It's probably the closest thing we can do to simulate a college environment where you're working on an assignment with your classmates. And so maybe you'll see someone's post from 2 hours ago and you say, whoa, that's really cool. And then maybe you post something and it inspires the next person. And it just creates this cycle of benevolent art sharing. And so I think it's going to be really helpful for you guys to use that.
W315 has an idea for the art dare leap. Can we draw a four-headed celebrity? Absolutely. Go ahead. I would be so interested to see what that looks like. Now, to officially submit, you want to tag us on Instagram and use hashtag ArtProfDare. However, if you are not on social media, you can go to artprof.org, and we do have a link for a Google form, so that way you can submit your art dare without actually being on social media. I hope you will join Jordan and I in the Discord. Right after the stream, we are doing a stage session. That is your opportunity to chat with us on voice. And we love hearing your voices. It is so much fun, so different than a live stream where people are typing. So I hope you will join us there. Hang out in the post live streams stage channel. And if you have questions, you can jump into post live streams and somebody there will help you. There are many ways you can support Art Prof. You can make a one-time donation via PayPal. You can buy original artwork on our Etsy shop. You can purchase an artist call. Sometimes the content that we have, there's a limit to how it can help you because people need more customized advice to their own individual circumstance. And a big thank you to our top Patreon supporters. You guys are still, the vast majority of our budget comes from top Patreon supporters. And it's really phenomenal to have that because you are the ones keeping us alive. That is why we are here. So everybody, thank you so much. Our Patreon goal, it went down a little bit. It's not that bad, but I'd rather it not be red. That would be a little bit less alarming. Art Prof has a podcast. It's available on Spotify and also on iTunes. And subscribe to our channel for more art tutorials, critiques, and business tips. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.